Think about the people in your life whose calls you always pick up. The ones you genuinely look forward to seeing. The ones who, when their name appears on your phone, you feel something light up instead of the usual low-level dread of social obligation. The ones you walk away from feeling better than when you arrived. More energized, more yourself, somehow more alive. Now ask yourself, why them? What is it actually about those specific people that makes you want more of them? Most people, when they think about this, assume the answer has something to do with how entertaining those people are. How funny, how interesting, how full of great stories and opinions and things to say. We assume the most magnetic people are the best talkers. But that's not it. That's almost never it. And today I want to show you what's actually happening, because once you see it, every conversation you have will be different. Let's start by knocking down the assumption that quietly drives most people's social strategy. Most people walk into conversations trying to be interesting, choosing their words carefully, workshopping their stories before they tell them, trying to be funny at the right moments, smart without seeming like they're trying, impressive without appearing to want to impress. And while they're managing all of that, while they're essentially running a performance in real time, they're not actually there. They're backstage, monitoring, calculating, and the person across from them feels it. They can't name it exactly, but they feel it, the slight artificiality, the sense that they're watching someone audition rather than having a conversation. And the connection that could have happened quietly doesn't. Here's what the research actually shows about what people enjoy in conversation. Neuroscientists have found that when people talk about their own experiences, their own opinions, their own memories and dreams and ideas, the brain's reward systems activate in ways that overlap with other forms of genuine pleasure. Talking about yourself to the right person in the right environment actually feels good at a neurological level. Which means the fastest way to become someone people love talking to is not to talk more. It's to become the person who makes others enjoy talking. The most magnetic conversationalists aren't the ones delivering the best content. They're the ones creating the conditions where other people get to. But there's a specific skill underneath this that most people never develop, and it's the thing that separates conversations people forget from conversations people carry with them for years. Making people feel seen. Not heard. Seen. There's a difference. Heard means someone waited for you to finish before they started talking. Seen means someone actually noticed. The detail that lit you up, the emotion underneath the words, the thing you almost said but pulled back the moment your face changed. I heard about a man once who had a reputation in his professional circles that made no sense on paper. Not the most accomplished person in the room. Not the funniest. Not the flashiest. But people talked about him. Months after meeting him, people remembered him. And when someone finally tried to figure out why, it was this: he remembered one personal detail about every single person he met. Not their title. Not their credentials. Something real, a goal they mentioned, a dream they'd referenced, something that mattered to them. In a world where most people can't remember your name 3 days later, someone who remembers what actually matters to you feels almost shockingly rare. And rare things are precious. And precious things people hold on to. Now let me show you something practical that makes an immediate difference. Most people ask questions that produce information. Where are you from? What do you do? How was your weekend? These questions aren't wrong. They just produce the kind of answers that don't go anywhere. Facts. Data. The surface layer that everybody shows everybody. Questions that produce stories are built differently. Not what do you do? But what's the most interesting problem you're working on right now? Not how was your weekend? But what was the moment you actually enjoyed this week? Not where are you from? But what's the thing about where you grew up that shaped you most? Feel what happens in your brain when you read those. They reach past the automatic response into something more real. They ask for experience instead of information. And experience carries emotion. And emotion is where connection actually lives. When someone asks you a question that pulls something genuine out of you, something you weren't necessarily planning to share, something that actually matters, you don't just remember the conversation. You remember the person who made it possible. You associate that feeling of being drawn out, of being interesting even to yourself entirely with them. And you want more of it. Which brings us to the thing I've been building toward this whole time. The psychological truth that explains why certain people become genuinely unforgettable. Why people text them first, make excuses to see them, think about them days after the conversation ended. People become obsessed with talking to those who make them feel like the best version of themselves. Read that one more time. Not the most entertained. Not the most impressed. The best version of themselves. Think about your favorite person to spend time with. Why do you actually love being around them? Dig past the obvious answers. The real reason underneath everything else is almost always this: you feel different around them. You feel more confident, more interesting, more capable, more seen, more like the person you actually want to be. And your brain very simply wants to go back to that feeling. It wants more of it. It builds an association between that person and that state of being, and starts finding reasons to return. That's not magic. That's just how human beings work. Most people are oriented toward getting something from conversations: attention, validation, the sense that they made a good impression. Magnetic people are oriented toward giving something, the experience of feeling understood, valued, genuinely interesting. Most people want to be remembered. Magnetic people make others feel memorable. Most people want to be liked. Magnetic people make others feel likable. And the beautiful irony is that the second orientation produces the first result every single time. The person focused on giving that experience to others is the one who gets remembered, liked, sought out, texted first, thought about. So next time you're in a conversation and you feel the pull to perform, to say the impressive thing, to make sure you're coming across right, to manage how you're landing, let go of that question and ask a different one. How can I make this person feel interesting? How can I make them feel like what they're saying actually matters? How can I pull something real out of them that they didn't even know they were ready to share? Because the moment your focus moves off yourself and onto what you can give, you stop being someone people have to remember. You become someone they can't forget.